There was a Tuesday morning, maybe 2 years into building my systems properly, where I realized I had not thought about money in 3 days. Not because I did not have financial responsibilities, not because the business was not running, but because the systems that generated the income were just doing what they were designed to do, quietly, in the background, without needing me to think about them constantly. I remember sitting with that for a moment because it felt strange. I had spent years with money as this loud, urgent, ever-present thing in my mind. Always calculating, always worried, always aware of every number and what it meant for the week ahead. And now it had become something I checked in on rather than something that consumed me. That shift from income as a constant anxiety to income as a background process is one of the hardest things to explain to someone who has not experienced it. But it is also one of the most important things to understand if you want to build something that gives you real freedom rather than just more revenue. That is what we are talking about today. I want to start with what makes income loud in the first place. Because most people live with financial noise so constantly that they have stopped noticing it is there. It just feels like the normal state of running a business. The noise comes from uncertainty. When you do not know where next month's revenue is coming from, your brain treats that uncertainty as a threat and keeps the income question permanently open in the background of every decision you make. You wake up thinking about it. You go to sleep thinking about it. Every client interaction, every offer, every pricing decision carries this low-level anxiety underneath it because the system has no predictability built into it. Most entrepreneurs accept that noise as the price of building something. I accepted it for years. But it is not the price of building something. It is the cost of building something without the right architecture underneath it. The architecture that reduces the noise is not complicated, but it requires deliberate design. It has 3 components, and I want to walk through each one because understanding them changed how I built everything after that point. The first is predictability. Predictable income does not just mean recurring revenue, although that is part of it. It means having enough visibility into your next 60 to 90 days that your brain can stop treating the future as an open threat. When I know with reasonable confidence what is coming in over the next 2 months, I can stop running that calculation constantly. The uncertainty closes. The noise drops. Building predictability into a service business usually means a combination of retainer structures, longer-term contracts, and a client base that is diversified enough that losing one does not create a crisis. None of that happens overnight. But every step toward predictability is a direct reduction in the mental overhead the business requires. The second component is automation. Not in the tech stack sense, necessarily, although that matters too. I mean the automation of judgment. When the systems in your business can make routine decisions without you, when the processes are clear enough that the right thing happens without your intervention, you stop being the CPU that everything runs through. And that frees up an enormous amount of cognitive capacity that was previously consumed by operational noise. I used to be involved in every decision that touched a client, every communication, every deliverable, every problem. I thought that was what quality control looked like. What it actually looked like was a business that could not function without me processing everything personally. Moving that judgment into documented systems and trained processes was one of the highest leverage things I ever did. Not because it saved time, but because it saved attention. And attention is the resource that actually determines the quality of your strategic thinking. The third component is sufficiency. This one is the most personal and the hardest to build because it requires an honest conversation with yourself about what enough actually looks like for you. Most entrepreneurs never have that conversation. The number keeps moving. Hit the first target and the goalpost shifts. More revenue means more ambition, means more pressure, means more noise. The income question never closes because there is no answer that satisfies it. Sufficiency is not about settling. It is about defining clearly what you are actually building toward, so that when you get there, you can recognize it. Without a definition of enough, the anxiety engine never turns off regardless of how much comes in. I spent a long time building toward a number that kept changing. The moment I got honest about what I actually needed, not what I thought I should want, but what would genuinely change the quality of my life and the quality of my decisions, the noise started to quiet. Not because I stopped caring about growth, but because I stopped treating every financial moment as a referendum on whether I was succeeding or failing. When all three of these things come together, predictability, automated judgment, and a clear definition of sufficiency, something shifts that is difficult to describe until you have felt it. Income stops being the thing you think about all day and becomes the thing you review once a week. The business stops being a source of constant anxiety and becomes a system you manage with a degree of calm that would have felt impossible a few years earlier. That Tuesday morning I mentioned at the start was not a finish line. It was a signal. A sign that the architecture was working. That the systems were doing what they were designed to do. That is what we are building toward in this series. Not just more income. Income that runs quietly in the background while you get on with building the next thing. If you have been here from the beginning, you know that every piece of this connects. If today is your first video, go back to episode 1. Subscribe. Because tomorrow we go further. I will see you then.